As we mentioned, Roseanne Barr is blaming Ambien for a racist comment on Twitter. She wrote, she's done weird stuff while on Ambien at 2 in the morning, and it's now trending on Twitter, the word Ambien.
The word Ambien, yeah, but that's not the only thing that she blamed throughout a very active Twitter evening. Barr is referring to the highly controversial tweet that she posted yesterday morning saying President Obama's former advisor, Valerie Jarrett, is the daughter of an ape and someone from the Muslim Brotherhood. The Washington Post media reporter Paul Farhi is in D.C. and joins us now. So, Paul, you heard Ambien's snappy response about racism not being a side effect of their sleep aid. What did you make of Roseanne's excuses? I have to say excuses because there were multiple tweets of her explaining why she tweeted that tweet.
Yeah, excuse is the word. There's a long history for Roseanne on these kinds of things. So any one particular tweet, you can't take an excuse. She has proven herself to be kind of a racist, anti-Semite for a very long time, and ABC knew that. I give it to the Ambien people for having a little bit of wit about it and deflecting her craziness after the fact.
Paul, how do you think that this controversy reflects on ABC? I mean, as you pointed out, ABC knew what they were getting when they hired Roseanne to reboot this series. In fact, Ben Sherwood a few weeks ago said she's, I'm paraphrasing here, that she's uncontrollable. On the other hand, the entertainment division is run by Channing Dungey. She's an African-American woman. One reporter told me, it would be hard for Ms. Dungey to turn up at work every day knowing that Roseanne said what she said on Twitter about another African-American woman, likening her to an ape.
Sure. Well, it was a calculated risk. I mean, ABC loves ratings like every network does, and Roseanne, the reboot, did $18 million to start, averaged about $10 million. It's really hard to turn down. In the absence of anything else, 10 million viewers for a sitcom is just golden. So the ABC thought we could control her, we could make her focus on her, her sitcom and not on her tweet. They were wrong about that, and they cut their losses. And that's what they did yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon, very, very quickly, surprisingly quickly, in the face of Roseanne's tweets.
Paul, you said it was a calculated risk, and up until that tweet, it was a risk that was worth it for ABC. It was a rating bonanza. They made millions and millions of dollars. And, they're not the only network that's trying to figure out how to target these red states, right? And they're trying to find shows that, exhibit these blue-collar values, working-class values. I just wonder what it means when there's always a race factor, or often a race factor that plays into it. What does it mean about us? I mean, not only did ABC know who Roseanne Barr was, but so did the audience, and they watched.
Yeah, and they watched back in the 90s when Roseanne was on, in her original format. It's not new for TV to target blue-collar people, rural people. CBS in the 1960s figured this out with a whole bunch of shows like Green Acres and Petticoat Junction. They appealed to the so-called C counties that were outside the urban centers. So it's a strategy, and it's a long-time strategy. Networks have always pursued it, and they will continue to pursue it, Roseanne or no Roseanne. That's what ABC was trying to do. We say that they were tapping into the Trump voter. They were tapping into all kinds of people, some of whom might have been Trump voters too.
And ignoring Roseanne's reputation in order to tap into that market.
Yes, absolutely. Well, not so much ignoring it, just hoping that it wouldn't be a problem. Oh, by the way, it turned out to be a problem, a very big problem. And ABC just decided we're going to make this problem go away, which is what they did very quickly on yesterday.
Is there an opportunity for Roseanne Barr to ever come back? America loves a good comeback story, and we've seen that time and time again. We've seen it with Mel Gibson, who tweeted, who made anti-Semitic remarks. He made remarks about African Americans to an ex of his, and he has sort of come back with some very successful films. He's just one example of people that have been able to sort of bounce back from situations like this. Do you think it's in the cards for a person like Roseanne Barr?
I think it might be. It might be because she has a lot of currency among, as we said, the Trump voters, among conservatives who embrace her as a symbol of their movement. So it is possible. But I'll give you a couple examples. Bill O'Reilly and Kathy Griffin. Bill O'Reilly has not yet come back. He might still, but he is kind of radioactive now. Kathy Griffin was rejected by CNN, at least for the New Year's Eve show after she did that horrific photo shoot. She's still kind of struggling to come back. So, you know, it's a mixed bag. You might be able to do it, but it's a big uphill struggle. And, you know, America has a great capacity to forget. Michael Richards from Seinfeld hasn't come back. So it's hard to say whether or not, how long the memory lasts.
I think that's a really good thing to point out, Paul, because, Roseanne has her defenders, and even Roseanne herself tweeted that other comedians have said worse than her, and, they're not criticized the way she has been. But the truth is, yeah. That has happened, that people's careers have been ruined or they've had to take sort of a step down. And you gave us a list right there.
Yeah.
And, careers get ruined for saying things that are taken seriously by a lot of people. Roseanne isn't some second-rate comic. She is top of the ratings, high profile, and what she tweeted figures into a long stream of tweets. It's unacceptable, it's racist, it's horrible. ABC recognized that. ABC said we must stop the bleeding right this second because they knew how terrible the reaction was and was going to be. There was just no room for them to say, we'll ride this out, we'll put our finger to the wind and see if public reaction dies down. It never was going to die down. She turned herself into persona non grata instantly in that moment.
Paul, let me just ask you before you go, because you made a point that I sort of want to drill down on for a second, about the fact that back in the day in the 1960s, there were a lot of shows that targeted sort of America, right? America that existed beyond the coast.
Right. The Forgotten Man.
The Forgotten Man. Well, even just shows that were sort of, homespun, like the Beverly Hillbillies you mentioned, Petticoat Junction. I love the Andy Griffith Show growing up. All those family shows, Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver. And then, as you pointed out, in the late sort of 60s, early 70s, CBS and other networks said, you know what, let's do away with these sort of country shows and become a little bit more progressive. But yet, when you had shows like, for example, All in the Family, all those great Norman Lear shows, Carroll O'Connor played a racist on television. He wasn't a racist in real life. I wonder, can't these networks just make shows about the folks that feel that their point of views are being represented and not actually hire real life racists?
Right, but I also wonder, why, if you're targeting this audience, why, if it's all about sort of family values in middle America, why is race a factor? Why is that part of the conversation at all, right? These are supposed to be values that across the country we all share.
Right, but I just, there's great actors out there who can play great racists on television.
There's an intelligent way of addressing it.
You don't have to be one in your real life.
Right.
Sure, but television has changed so much since the 1960s. It's not about mass audience. It's not about broad audiences. It's about niches. It's about finding something that will appeal to a relatively small slice of the audience, because that's all there is anymore. There's no show that gets Beverly Hillbillies numbers, as odd as it is to say. That was the most popular show in America, getting tens of millions of viewers. There was nothing else to compete against it, really. Now there is tons and tons of things to compete against it. So, there aren't that many racists out there who are going to get TV shows. In fact, we just lost one yesterday. But yes, you're right. Ultimately, you can depict a racist. You can depict someone from the fringes. Television likes that these days. Watch everything that's on HBO or any other premium network or any other network that is seeking just a small audience. We can do those shows, and we don't need real-life racists to do them.
Good point.
Yes, indeed. Paul Farhi from the Washington Post, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.